Yo, what's up? I'm QuHarrison, and today we're going to ask ourselves, what's the future of prompting? Yesterday we covered enterprise ChatGPT, so ChatGPT is not cool anymore. You know, all the big businesses, they're about to load in, get into it, so it's like, all right, now that the business can do it and I can prompt at school, I can prompt at work, what does the future of prompting look like? For those that don't know, every day I ask myself, what's the future? And I take detailed notes in my WTF journal. If you want to check it out, because what you're watching is just a recording from that entry, go ahead and go over to everydays.wtf. Trust me, if you want to be a future thinker, it's probably one of the cooler resources because every day I literally just future think in front of you. You get to see my thoughts, you get to see my notes, you get to see kind of the hodgepodge that comes together before I actually go and make decisions. So with that being said, one of the things that I noticed is Promptac. And what they're going for is this whole concept of reintroducing the tactile touch into an era of generative AI. Now, in this article, the creator of Promptac is quoted, and her name is Zhaodi Feng. And she says that Promptac combines the prompt with the tactile in the name and in the practice with an intriguing interface using human sensations that don't feel so quite artificial. Promptac illustrates how designers across a multitude of disciplines may one day be able to alter colors, textures, and materials dynamically onto virtual objects created by generative AI with a degree of physicality currently absent. So I'm going to jump into a quick example of Promptac and play the video for you, and then I'm going to share some of my thoughts on this. Wow. She's touching, and it's changing the color. Okay. She changed the texture by touching the leather to the vase. She's going to put the fur on it. Now it's furry. Crazy. All right, she's twisting the object and it's changing the actual picture. That is phenomenal. And here are my two reasons as to why that's phenomenal. So the first one is you're opening up prompting and the art of creating with generative AI to literally anyone. Like, we all know how to pull a lever, touch a button, move something. I mean, think about how the iPhone changed computing. And it was largely through the introduction of a touchscreen and a very capable operating system. And it had like almost this human element to it. Like, remember the first time you saw that slide to unlock? It was just like, wow, that just feels native. For most people, sitting down at a table, computer, whatever your interface is, even your phone, and typing out what you feel, what you want, that's pretty damn hard. I mean, most people aren't writers. Most people can't even describe what they're feeling from a communication standpoint just with their own words. So how can you imagine a whole generation of new designers going at a table, and these are like creative people, left brain people, where they're like, I don't really know what I want, but I can get it there. I can dial it in. And if you give them, like, let's just say a MIDI keyboard of sorts. For those that don't know, MIDI keyboards are used to make music, and you can map each key. It can be a piano, it can be a turntable with buttons, it can be all types of things. But basically, you can map those buttons to different signals, and then you can make music off that experience using different versions of software. But if we were to make some type of MIDI controller that would allow you to touch and feel and twist and pull and bring different types of textures into it, and that could literally change the creations, that's going to introduce the world to a whole new concept of designer. Like, I mean, that's a whole new designer. Like, the same way that Canva made design very easy, so you didn't have to learn, hours and hours of Photoshop to do simple edits, this will basically make product design quite simple. And I think that what's going to happen here is, this is obviously a concept by a student. Someone's going to basically look at this student, hire them, and then probably bring them into the lab, and we'll get some commercial version of that. I think that the work is phenomenal, and that's why I wanted to make a note on it. I think that, this is definitely an innovation that we should pay more attention to, and I'm curious to see how would you go beyond some of the textures and colors that we saw in the video. Like, how would you integrate things that like liquids and different materials? Because the physical world, like when it comes to senses, there's a lot of sensory overload, and that's what makes us humans. Is like, we can get overloaded by our senses, but there's also people that can feel all of those senses, and that there's beauty. So my whole take is that like this version of prompting I could get behind. And I think tactile prompting is a way. It's also one way to engage with the AI in a way that we might have not thought was possible a few months ago. So shout out to the team working on Promptac. I think that this is a really cool discovery. And for those that don't know, every day I take notes in a journal. I call that journal my WTF journal because largely every day I'm asking myself, what's the future? If you want to learn more about that journal, go ahead and go to everydays.wtf. You can see all my notes. You can kind of become a future thinker like myself. I do this every day. I post it on YouTube, but YouTube is not the full experience. I mean, I've got over almost 300 notes over there. Almost 300 notes over on Everydays. And none of that is captured here on YouTube. So go ahead, check it out over there. And if you have more questions, well, you're going to know where to find me because I'm going to be in the future.